Ladies and gentlemen, boys and pearls, welcome to episode 15 of the Bearded Purl Podcast. I'm Caleb.
I'm Justin.
And this is a podcast about the fiber arts and other crafty shenanigans. You can find us on Ravelry, YouTube, and Instagram as the Bearded Purl. And we want to thank everyone who has been so generous and so kind and has followed us along the journey. We have reached some pretty exciting milestones. We have hit 5,000 followers on Instagram and 9,000 subscribers on YouTube. So
it's kind of crazy, isn't it?
It is. It's grown a lot faster than I thought it would ever grow, and it's been exciting. So thank you for joining us this week, and let's get into some shenanigans.
Let's do it. I wasn't sure what you were going to say.
I wasn't sure what I was going to say either.
What are we doing? It has been 3 weeks since our last confession. Why are you laughing?
I don't know.
It's a real thing.
Okay.
3 weeks. What have we been up to? You in particular have had terribly busy weeks at work.
Oh my gosh. So I've been a little MIA from just about everything lately because we've gone through a lot of different, let's just say like restructures and reorgs and kind of changing the way we work after, COVID and all of that stuff. So that's behind us now, but I am basically doing 2 jobs now in my current position. So it's been a really busy week. Well, I should say really busy month. We've been kind of ramping up big projects, and there's different exciting things happening. And we're down a few people on some teams, so the work is not going away, and we're all just kind of stretched a little thin. So I've been really busy with work lately. My day work, which has been okay. It's been nice to get back into that busy swing of things after not really kind of knowing where to navigate with the next project or kind of what we're doing. So I'm one of those people that would much rather be busy than not. So although it has been crazy and hectic and really stressful, it hasn't been bad in a weird way.
Yeah. I think you've handled it as well as possible.
As well as I could possibly handle it. Which sometimes...
Thank goodness for stress gummies.
Which sometimes results in just lying on the couch staring into the abyss.
Under an electric blanket with a cat on top of you.
I mean...
A lot of this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
What better way to relieve some stress than a cat? But it's been good.
We've also been really... I mean, I feel like I've accomplished nothing, but at the same time, we've been really busy at home, doing home things. So I didn't even think to pull up a picture. The vanity finally got finished. And for the first time in 2.5 years, we have the number of vanities in our house equal to the number of bathrooms in our house, which is very exciting. I think when we were here last, we were waiting on the piece of quartz to be cut for the countertop. And then just a few days later, it was installed with about 20 minutes notice, a day early. I forgot about that scramble. They were supposed to come on Thursday morning, and I got a text Wednesday afternoon that said, "We'll be there in 15 minutes. And I said, "No, I need at least 20 minutes because I was in the middle of a call." But that was fun. I mean, it came early, and then we made the smart decision to hire a plumber to come actually connect the plumbing. I think at that point we were totally over it, and you conceded to let a professional come in and finish. I was very validated by the fact that the plumber took an hour and a half.
It took a lot longer than I anticipated.
I was going to feel really bad if he came in and was like, and did everything in about 15 minutes. But he was here for quite a while and did a very nice job. Everything was very well done. We're really pleased. Mm-hmm. Do you have a picture? I didn't even think to have a picture ready. Can you put one right here?
No.
If I do this?
No.
No?
I'll look for a picture.
Okay, we'll look for a picture. So let's see. We did that. Rings are back. stones are in place. So that was a fun project. What else? I've gone down a rabbit hole. Home Depot and I have become close personal friends.
Okay, well, there's a paint chip stuck to the wall because we're also going to repaint the bathroom. But, so there is the installed vanity.
Yay! You may be underwhelmed by this, but this is a lot.
This is a big deal.
It's a big deal for us. I guess I should add, too, that even though the countertop, which was the piece that didn't fit as the sink that came with the vanity,
Right.
was measured, I think he was generous in what he thought would fit. And there, when I say there was a sheet of papers worth clearance between
In the new vanity. Top.
Between the door and the countertop, let's just say the Dremel and I made some adjustments to the door to just give ourselves a little bit of wiggle room.
Right.
I'm pretty sure the paint was touching the countertop.
After the first time we took a shower, I mean, you know, when it's humid, things kind of expand and stick. And let's just say the door touched the actual vanity, so we had to fix that. But,
yeah, it's great now. Our door was not even remotely square, so that's a whole other story. No. Our 95-year-old house, if you live in an old house,
if you find anything that's level or square, it probably doesn't belong.
Kudos to you.
Right.
Yeah, it's probably floating in the air. So vanity's done. I recocked the tub, which was a COVID project last year.
Right. We've officially circled back in the time of COVID living to home improvement projects again. And this was revisiting one that we started a year later.
And completed, but I was not happy with how I did it. Right. So I just lost my mind on a Saturday and ripped all the old caulking out and redid it. And it looks amazing. So that's great. What else have we done? Oh, we replaced the storm door.
Uh-huh.
Friends, if you could see, I think probably the best thing about our relationship is, for the most part, we time our complete nervous breakdowns and furious
it's not even like a nervous
frustration
breakdown.
Moments.
It's more like a harebrained idea.
We tend to time them not at the same time.
Right.
So storm door was my idea. 45-minute installation, thank you, Anderson, which involved putting the door on and taking it off 4 times.
Yeah. Well, the fourth time is
45. The box literally says goof proof. 45 minutes. And I really think that it could have taken 45 minutes, except we couldn't get the door open. Like the little shipping clamps that you're supposed to remove later. Anyway, long story short, we've replaced a storm door that needed to be replaced. Mm-hmm. There was a lot of 4-letter words involved and some surprise wood refinishing and repainting.
And caulking and patching.
Yes.
Which was kind of the theme of the week. So we took a week of PTO, which is kind of what started these home improvement projects again. And it was my bright idea to repaint the kitchen. So I'm going to fall on that sword.
Which I will point out, a couple of weeks ago, your comment to me was, are we going to spend our entire week of PTO doing projects? Which turned into a yes, because you added one to the list that snowballed down a hill. So I think we shared with you a few weeks ago that we had picked out a color for the kitchen. The kitchen is now that color, which is great. But painting walls in a 95-year-old house that's been repainted many times, not always neatly, involved a lot of caulking and a lot of retouching, which turned into ceiling painting, which turned into some baseboard painting, which turned into some adjacent ceiling painting, which turned into some wall trim edging. And then at some point...
to Sherwin-Williams?
Oh yeah, Sherwin-Williams and I are now best friends. It's been a great experience, but yeah. And at one point, I just looked at Caleb and said, I have to put the paint away now, or I will never stop. And I have a list as long as my arm of future painting projects. But the kitchen looks great.
Kitchen looks great.
The kitchen looks great. The storm door, one of the changes, our old storm door was broken and had not really damaged, but I guess mildly damaged the door frame. So we removed the old door, used, wood putty to fix the small damaged area. And one of the big changes is we had a small window in the top of the old door, and we've now replaced it with it's a full glass door where the screen is hidden. So we've had the house door to the kitchen open literally all day, every day since we put it in. And the cats like to sit in front of it, and it lets a ton of light into the kitchen. So that was a good decision.
Mm-hmm.
And now that we've installed one, we're prepared to install the second one that's on the future list.
We might be overstating it. You are ready to
I'm
install
ready.
the second one.
I'm ready. So let's see. We've done that. What else have we done? I made a list. Oh, the garden. We
cleaned up
I cannot believe all this has happened in 3 weeks.
Yeah, we cleaned up the garden, took all of the old stuff.
Everything's unwrapped.
Mm-hmm.
The roses are uncovered. The lavender's uncovered. All the leaves that we had packed around everything before covering.
And for the most part, it's cleaned up and ready to go.
Yeah, it's fairly
Just
cleaned
waiting
up.
for it. There are snow flurries today, but
It's not doing anything.
we are just waiting for a little bit warmer weather.
Yes, it's been a very gross, cold, rainy, windy week. So we've not spent much time outside, which is good because we've been focusing on the inside projects. But
There's been plenty.
the garden is open. All the snow is melted. We will for sure have more snow, but we've had a couple of snowdrops bloom. And
There's a crocus that is
it's like
this close. It's so close to blooming. We also planted a bunch of seeds and got those started. I think we were talking about starting them last week or last time we podcasted, but those are started and they're up. Funny story. I planted what I thought was 3 trays of onions. Turns out it was just 2. And after about a week and a half and all the other onions started coming up, the one tray was just totally empty. And then I realized, even though I tagged and like watered everything and it was ready to go and covered, and as everything else was sprouting and starting to grow, I forgot to actually put the seeds in the tray.
whoops.
Yep. So I had to plant those.
And guess what? They've germinated.
Sure enough.
Go figure.
When you plant seeds, they grow. But so that's done, and we'll plant some more in the next week or so.
Yeah, that round is done.
Right. So we'll do 2 rounds.
We've
inside.
done onions, lettuce, and some flowers.
Mm-hmm. And then we'll plant another round, and then the rest of the stuff will just get planted directly in the garden.
So that's good.
So that was fun.
The chipmunks are officially out of hibernation.
Mm-hmm.
For those of you who have been with us for a longer time,
Almost a year.
almost a year, you'll know that the chipmunks are very much a part of our spring, summer, and fall.
Uh-huh.
And we love them. They irritate us to no end, but in an entertaining way. We don't hurt them, trap them, remove them, anything like that. We kind of work around them.
Sometimes I wish we would.
Right. I kind of want to strangle them when they rip all of our cherry tomatoes off the vine and then just leave them strewn.
Half-eaten at the back door, like it's a little present. Yeah.
But we've seen the chipmunks. I haven't seen any babies yet, but maybe we don't have babies this year. Maybe they haven't come out, but we've at least seen them. I scared one to death when I walked outside to put something in the compost bin, and it was literally sitting next to it. And I think we both had heart attacks. So the chipmunks are out, and what else?
I think, is that it?
We've cleaned up bird feeder. We've been fixing a lot of little things. We got a bird feeder repair.
To the point where my boss asked me if we were fixing the house to get ready to sell. Like we've done that much kind of like touch up and fix up and repair. I'm like, no, just
No.
taking care of
We're not
things.
going anywhere. We had the roof inspected. Turns out we don't need a new roof, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I thought we did, but I was just making sure. So yeah, a lot of little things. These are we have kind of a long list of small cosmetic type projects that we want to do. But yeah, we're lucky enough that our house is good to us, and we try to be good to it in return. And it's been a fun week of getting things done. It's amazing how deep the rabbit hole goes when you start seeing all the things that could be done, but then also how satisfying it is to do things and see the small improvements that are made. Like even painting the kitchen.
Fresh paint and a paintbrush is a dangerous tool.
But even painting the kitchen, doing a better job than had been done before just makes everything look really nice and finished. So it's been fun.
Well, and what's funny,
we take pride in our home.
The paint color in the kitchen, I mean, we went up a shade, maybe, color-wise, and it just feels so much brighter.
But one shade is drastic.
Yeah.
Because we went from a dark shade to a very medium shade.
Mm-hmm. And different kinds of paint. So there was a flat paint in the kitchen before. Which was just a really bad idea.
Thank you, everybody, by the way, for your paint recommendations. We had several people, in fact, one woman in particular, that provided a lot of detailed information in the comments of our last video that totally steered us
in the right direction.
In the right direction. So thank you. Thank you for that. It's been great.
But yeah, so there was flat paint on the wall when we moved in, and it was a really dark color. And so we wanted to change it, and we did, and
we're very happy.
So happy with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we've just done a lot of stuff around the house.
We picked out and purchased paint for the bathroom. Mm-hmm. We landed on a color, cilantro, which we don't have.
We don't have it.
It's somewhere in this shade of greens.
It's like this color.
It's green. You'll see it later. That did not happen. We finally put the paint away. But the bathroom's not that big, so theoretically, it shouldn't take a week. Theoretically. So thank you for all the comments. We had so much fun reading them. I've learned a couple of things in particular based on last video's comments. Number one, people very patiently and politely pointed out that we are idiots for not appreciating the opposite seasons in the Southern Hemisphere. So we're good now. Thank you. Thank you. I mean, it makes sense. We were just...
Idiots might be a little harsh, a little dense.
I mean, college education's hard at work.
Yeah. I mean, we were on the right track.
Yeah. I mean, I know that Christmas isn't in July in Australia, but...
Right.
Now I know that winter is in July.
Although...
Many people from Australia... We have several followers from Australia who pointed out that apparently a lot of people do kind of celebrate a Christmas in July where they get to eat warmer, heartier foods and do more wintry things than like the inferno of December, I guess. So that was fun. So that's one thing I learned. Another thing I learned, we had several offers to come shop in our basement. The offer still stands, although a lot of people noticed the panicked look on your face when I invited the universe to come shop for yarn in our basement. Yeah. And a lot of people really want us to turn this camera around.
Which, at this moment in time, will not happen. Because it's a disaster. It's like... I don't even know what happened. Not all me.
What percentage would you say is you?
A solid 85. But not all of it was me.
This bin is mine. For the most part.
Well, and this
one. Yeah. 2 bins have been assigned to me. Yeah. You're an enthusiastic hobby enthusiast.
Yeah. It's okay. Anyways.
We do have, let's see. Seasons in the Southern Hemisphere. Mm-hmm. Oh, people want to come shopping. Which, just hit me up. And people want to see the room, which we'll do at some point. We'll at least take a picture.
Sure.
But not like this.
No.
It looks...
This is embarrassing.
Yeah. It looks like a...
And it's always that point...
A hurricane
when
disaster
when you start cleaning and organizing, it almost looks worse when you start. Because you've pulled everything that shouldn't be where it's supposed to be into one area. And it's just a giant pile of chaos. And then it starts to fit back into place. Yeah. But until that happens... It shall remain a mystery.
It shall remain a mystery, which is safer for everyone involved.
Probably.
For sure. And I feel like I had one more thing. I don't know. I'm lost. I remembered again. We did a giveaway, and we have a winner.
We did.
Yeah, administrative stuff. 19 minutes and 42 seconds in.
So the giveaway was for the Turtle Purl sock set.
Which is so great.
In the Live Long and Prosper colorway. Mm-hmm. And the winner that was randomly chosen is Pamela B. And so we'll make sure to reach out to you, Pamela, and you can send us your snail mail info and we'll get that sent away to you.
Yeah,
so
congratulations.
Thanks everyone who entered and told us what they were excited about for spring or the next season, because it's not spring everywhere.
So many people are getting excited about gardening in the Northern Hemisphere.
And the longer days and the warmer weather and just being able to get outside again.
Oh my gosh, time change too.
Right. This year, I have to admit, was one of the years that daylight savings time really kicked me in the pants, because I don't know. Time. What is time?
What is time?
But everyone I talked to at work, daylight savings time really messed with their schedules too, and it took a couple of weeks to. My glasses keep sliding out. It took a couple of weeks to kind of readjust to that now, but it's good. It's nice to be awake.
We love
when the
long
sun
days.
Is up.
The sun's awake, and so am I.
Yeah, so that's good.
I guess we can transition to actual crafting. Maybe we can start with what you're wearing, because I don't think you've worn your sweater on camera yet.
This is the Throwover Pullover by Andrea Mowry, and this was one of the Rhinebeck sweaters a few years ago. I think maybe 2018, 2017, somewhere around there. And then she also has a cardigan version. Thank you. Words. Which is basically the same pattern, but I think it's steeked. And so...
Steek.
Oh, yeah.
This is cardigan.
If you want,
this
is cardigan, and this is steek. I used a Empire skein, and that was a Jill Draper, yarn baby. And I think that was a Rambouillet base. I can't remember at this point. And then the colors that I used in the yoke are hand spun. So you spun the top lighter green one. And I think that was a merino silk. And then the
middle one is a Snurb skein.
Bren
Bought a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Bren Boone.
And then this one I spun, and it was a alpaca merino, I think camel silk blend. But so they were sitting in, and they were totally different weights. So I held all of these double, except I should say these two double, and then this one I held single because it was a worsted weight. But it's a little bit uneven. It's kind of chunky.
It's so cool though.
I love the way the colors kind of blended together, and it's really cozy.
I love how different you and our friend Kathy knit yours together.
Oh yeah, I forgot we did that together. And hers is I think a dark.
It's like navy, and she has a gold and maybe a reddish,
like a rust green.
And something. It's beautiful, but a totally different look with the darker color.
I would definitely make another one. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's great. I love it.
Thanks. What are you wearing?
What am I wearing? I am wearing my Doodler. It is a Stephen West shawl pattern, and I would take it off and show you, but I'm so happy with. I literally threw it on, and I thought, why doesn't it ever look like this when I want it to? But this is it's a kind of a rounder bottomed crescent shaped shawl that was one of the Stephen West mystery knit alongs 5 years ago. It was before we lived in our house. You were still working at the yarn shop in Milwaukee. I did not participate in the mystery knit along because I'm a huge chicken, and it gives me a little bit of anxiety to think about knitting something that I can't see first. Not that I don't trust the incredible Mr. West, but I can't do it. I need to see it. And this was on my to-do list.
Like different color combinations. And
you get to see everybody's. I looked at a million of them before I picked out colors, but it's fun. I love it. It was a really great knit. It has a really cool cable on the flat edge that starts out really small and then ends up, huge. It's like 24 over 24 or something insane in the last row. So it's got a cable along the one edge, and it's got some spines, and there's an optional slip stitch picot thing, which I did, and I have a random pink one just for fun.
That's right.
Yeah.
But it was fun because you kind of pulled all of it. So you started with this speckled skein, and then you kind of pulled the different speckles out into the larger.
I think
solid.
Was this a Peepaloo Fields? This is an Old Blad Dye Works. This was one of the very first indie dyed skeins of yarn that I ever owned was this blue. I don't remember the colorway.
And the hot pink.
Oh, the hot pink and the orange are both Mary's. I forget what the orange is, but the hot pink, the neon pink colorway, I will never forget, is called Math is Hard Barbie. And Mary doesn't dye yarn anymore, but I have this skein in a couple of heels and toes
Of socks. Mm-hmm.
And this orange is one of hers too. Yeah, and then I think this was a Malabrigo fingering, maybe.
I think it was Madeline Tosh.
Madeline Tosh, something with an M. Yeah, so this one I knit about a year after the knit along, so maybe 4 years ago ish, and I love it. It's a great shawl.
Okay, let's get into finished objects.
You actually have some, meaning
what is that supposed to mean?
You have them and I don't. I have a half finished object.
Sure. I mean,
I wasn't trying to throw you under the bus,
mm-hmm.
but I can.
No thanks. So I bought a kit, and I have fallen down the rabbit hole, pun intended, of like knitting stuffed animals. I don't know why. Sorry, I keep touching my glasses. They just keep falling down. I don't know why I go through these phases where I want to knit all the little like stuffed animals and buy all these kits, but I did. So Susan B. Anderson.
That's two hobbies, by the way. Buying kits and knitting stuffed animals.
Yeah. So I bought the Spring Bunny kit by Susan B. Anderson, and that's Barrett Wool Co. And I got what's really cool about those kits was that you were able to pick your bunny color and the sweater color.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm. So I bought our friend Michelle, who is the dyer behind Woolens and Nosh. I got her a kit, and hers was I think a lighter bunny with a pink kind of dusty rose sweater. And she did something that was really fun and held a skein, like a strand of mohair with her bunny. And I'm going to try and see if I can scrunch up some extra yarn and make another one. Of this, leftovers. Not, of course we've got
Did you just
yarn.
say you're going to scrounge up skeins of yarn?
I meant of my leftover bunny. But so shush. This is my spring.
I'm sorry, that might have been the
spring bunny.
thing.
And I have to say, I was a little intimidated when I bought it and looked at the pattern because there was a lot of details, but extremely well written. It walks you through everything and tells you exactly what you need to do, where, when, and how many stitches. I mean, extremely well written. I would say a confident beginner would easily be able to make something like this.
You knit it so quickly.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, maybe two evenings.
Yeah, 2 evenings. And it was so fun. I may have overstuffed the body just a little bit.
It looks like me.
He's a little on the fluffy side.
Winter weight.
And I haven't decided what to do with my arms. So in the pattern, they're tacked together. I can't decide if I want to tack him down on the side. I feel like he's a little stiff then and not as inviting. Yeah, but I think I might want to tack him. So let me know. What do you think? People of the YouTube world, do you think I should leave his arms as is, tack him to the side, or tack him together? I think he looks kind of cute.
I think
tacked together.
Michelle kind of tacked hers up a little bit.
Yeah.
And she put a dried hydrangea.
Mm-hmm. And she's in a feltiflower
in
for hers.
And she was so cute.
But also, he's got a little fluffy butt.
Now, Michelle's sweater has little bobbles.
Yep.
When you picked your sweater color, did you have to pick the pattern, or does it include both?
It includes the directions for both. So you don't have to knit the bobbles. I didn't, but maybe the next one. What also would be fun is to knit the sweater in like a skein of self-striping or some like leftovers. Mm-hmm. That'd be really cute. But yeah, I mean, it's a decent size.
Is that fingering weight yarn?
Mm-hmm. And this is knit out of, I believe, the Home fingering, and a really lovely base.
It's really cute.
It's really cute.
Now, the ears are tacked down.
Yes, the ears are tacked down.
To be like a lop bunny, but you could also...
Yeah, you could also probably, I mean, it's going to be hard to show here, but you could also probably do them up.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, in the pattern it tells you to tack them down. But
That's really cute.
I had a lot of fun with this. I want to make a ton of them. I don't know.
Well, you can, because we have at least 2 more kits.
Not of the bunny.
No, but we have a moose.
We do have a moose kit.
Which you bought as a gift for me.
Which I might reclaim.
Which I assume that was a gift for you that you just gave me.
No. So yeah, that's cute. It's my spring, and she does sell the pattern individually, so you don't have to buy the kit to get the pattern.
It's really cute.
Yeah, that was fun. So that's my spring. I haven't named it yet. I don't know what we should name it.
Cecil
the rabbit, the bun. Where does little feet? Anyways,
Jeremiah.
So I had a lot of fun with that.
Is it a boy bunny?
It can be whatever it wants to be.
To be chosen.
Mm-hmm. What about you? Have you... Oh, you don't have another finished object, do you?
Oh, so hateful. I'll let you show yours, and then I'll steal a sock.
So I finished my Spree socks by Kemper Ray, and this is out of the Woolens and Nosh DK self-striping in her Superwash Merino base, and I picked out, when I bought the self-striping, which is kitten heels, is the colorway, I picked out a black mini that matched with this, so I used that for the heel, or that's not the heel. I used that for the cuffs, heels,
shoulders,
and toes.
Knees, and toes.
And these are a really long pair. So I made another pair of socks out of the, is it winter base? Winter colorway? Oh gosh, I don't remember. Anyways, so I made another pair out of the same yarn, different colorway.
They're in a pile somewhere down here.
And
over there. I can see them.
I made them shorter, but I wanted to use up a little bit more of the yarn, so I made sure to use the mini, which is 50 grams, for the I was gonna say it again, cuffs, heels, and toes. And the one thing that's kind of fun about these, if you notice, the last stripes are different, and that's because what?
I just noticed it.
Oh yeah, that's because the stripes are so long. Depending on which colorway you get, you might not be able to get exactly matching. But
that's fun.
It's kind of fun.
I love that my swizzle socks, the very last, they're one stripe off the whole way, because I was afraid I was going to run out of yarn, even though I had like
plenty,
15 grams left. I could have totally, and I was only one stripe off, but that toe was next to a color that was very similar, so I Frankensteined it together.
Yeah. But this is a great pattern. Like I said, it's the Spree socks by Kemper Ray. Michelle, the dyer behind Woolens and Nosh, does a fabulous job with colors and names and stripes, and I love these. I don't know if I haven't decided if I'm going to keep them or put them in the gift pile, but I love it. And they go so quick. DK weight socks just fly off the needles. But
that's great.
Yeah, so that's my second FO.
Look at you.
Look at me go. There.
Finishing projects.
I do finish projects sometimes.
I mean, you're wearing a finished project.
This is true. It might take me a year and a half to get something done, because I have a million projects going on at once. But they get done eventually. Usually. Most of the time. I'm just going to stop.
What's the right word? I always tell people you're an enthusiastic starter of projects.
I am. And I'm not one of those people that having a million projects bothers. I could care less. If I am excited to knit something or crochet, so whatever, I will happily start it. And if I lose interest, if there's a right time to come back to it, I will. If not, it was fun while it lasted.
Call it a hobby.
Yeah.
Yeah. Meanwhile, I cannot handle multiple projects on the needles. I mean, I have a few.
We thought about doing a segment called Finish or Frog It,
We were watching
Nancy and
Kathleen on the needles
Mm-hmm.
this morning, getting caught up on their last few episodes. And they did a little kind of a bonus one, episode 16.5, which was Frog It or Finish It,
Mm-hmm.
which was so funny. And I think each one of them had like 4 whips. And I have 2 that I know of that are...
If we were to do that,
I
would
have 2.
I would have you outnumbered by at least a dozen. If not more.
Or 2 dozen.
Maybe not that many.
You probably have 6 or 8 sweaters on the needles right now.
That's not true. I have 3. I have 3. There's 3.
What are they?
The Brooklyn Tweed one, the Tamarack for him that I'm working on. My long... High Lonesome by Caitlin Hunter. Is that who that's by? I don't remember. And the So Basic sweater, which just needs like half a sleeve.
Those are the only 3 sweaters you have on the needles?
Yes. Stop judging me.
Okay.
Now I do have a bunch of like sweater yarn piled in the bags with patterns, but that's not...
Those are future sweaters.
Exactly. That's a future whip.
Okay. I thought you had more sweaters going right now.
No. That's it. Stop.
We'll see. Okay, back to me. I finished a sock. This is a vanilla sock. I am in the process of writing down my pattern, which seems simple, but I go down an OCD path that slows me down. So this is just my own pattern that I follow in my head. But this is, again, Woolens and Nosh yarn. This is my first time knitting with Michelle's merino nylon base. She has some really great bases, Targhee and a Corriedale. I think those are the only 2 that I've knit of hers so far. So this is my first time trying her merino nylon base, and I really like it. I think you actually bought this yarn, and then I stole it.
That sounds right.
Yeah, because I didn't know this existed in our house. But this is her merino nylon base. It's a 75-25 merino nylon 4-ply that has 463 yards. And this is in her Oh Hello You colorway. I love this. You know that I'm a sucker for...
If it's rainbow self-striping, you're in.
I love all self-striping yarn, or a lot of it.
Which reminds me, do you have your ball self-striping that you bought?
My ball?
Yeah.
Oh, no. Forgot about that.
Next time.
But
Surprise, surprise.
Rainbow self-striping. I was enabled to buy that and the other one that you're talking about and the third one that's upstairs for next time. People need to stop tagging me in comments of self-striping yarn.
Or keep taking him in comments, because then I don't feel bad. Because I haven't really bought...
People send me a message, oh, you should check out this tire. Oh, look at this post on Instagram. And 2 seconds later, I bought a new skein of yarn.
See, it's easy to fall down the rabbit hole.
It is. This is a 72 stitch sock on a US 0 2mm needle. I really love the way that it turned out. I like how nicely, actually, the cuff, heel, and toe all match exactly. I don't know if you noticed that.
I just saw that.
But they're all purple, blue, and green. Purple, blue, green. Purple, blue, green.
I mean, those are nice big stripes.
I didn't realize either that the stripes were so big. And this is one, excuse me, sorry, my Claritin is in full force right now. And I feel like I'm having a moment. It's hard to tell. It's hard to tell what the yarn is going to look like when it's skeined up. Like, this is a skein of self-striping yarn. It's hard to appreciate how it's going to knit up. Mm-hmm. And I don't think I had seen, maybe I had, I don't think I looked on Michelle's website to see what this one looked like knit up. So I was really surprised at how big the stripes are. I feel like it's fairly common to have maybe like a 4 or 5 row stripe, and these are closer to 6 or 7. So they're nice big stripes. It looked really nice on the heel.
They're almost 8.
Okay, almost 8. Mm-hmm. So I've really enjoyed this. I do, again, just a 2x2 rib on the cuff. I've got my slip stitch heel with the garter edge, and then I did the anatomical toe. So this one is the right sock. Yeah, it's the right sock. And I'll cast on the left one shortly. I've just been waiting. I was trying to work on my sweater for a while before I got the mate to this one going, but I'm thrilled with it. And I'm going to have a ton of yarn left over. The 463.
I should use that to make him a little
jumper.
Yeah.
For some reason in my head, bunnies need jumpers, not sweaters, which I know is the same thing, but
technically
just depends on where you're from. This is apparently not an American bunny in my head.
Okay.
Yeah, this one would be good. You wouldn't get very many colors though.
Probably not.
Because the stripes are so big. But
yeah,
you have about 45 other schnibbles of self-striping sock yarn around here that you could check out. Mm-hmm. So one sock down, and yeah, I've got a ton more yarn, so I'll have more than enough for the second one.
Fun.
And that is we'll call it a half finished object. I do want to point out though, I didn't say this earlier, but I'm real proud of myself. I've had an out-of-body experience. Call it alien abduction, call it whatever you want. I started knitting 10 years ago. 10. And got on Ravelry at that time and created a couple of project pages, maybe like 4 or 5, for some things I abandoned, a couple things I never finished. I did have, I think, 3 completed projects, maybe 4, on Ravelry. And then I abandoned it for like 9.5 years and didn't touch it.
And made me look everything up on Ravelry.
And we were having I'm on a tangent. Bear with me, folks. It's relevant, I promise. We were having
Grab the popcorn, hunker down.
Yeah. Sit down, hang out for a second. We were having a conversation about my Wixom sweater that I was going to cast on. And we were having a conversation about the Wixom hat that I had also knit. So Knitterella, Jill Zielinski, had written a hat pattern and then released a sweater pattern right afterwards. And I knit the hat, then I was going to knit the sweater. And the conversation went something like this. Do you remember what needle I used? Do you remember what size I knit? I wonder what my gauge was. I mean, I have the hat so I can look at the gauge. But I had no information about my hat because I didn't write anything down, because I never do. Or I used to print patterns and write things on the paper so that I could, if I was doing a sock or something like that, that had a pair or a sleeve on a sweater, I would know what to do for the second one. But then those papers vanish, they get recycled. Who knows where they are in this house? And I don't know anything. So that made me irritated at myself because I don't have record of anything. Mm-hmm. So I went through and in a couple of weeks created, look, I'm going to show it off because I'm real proud. I created project pages for almost everything that I have done in the last year. Everything I've done this year so far. And then projects from last year that I either had pictures of, had any information for whatsoever, or still own. So that's my kudos to me. I'm so proud of myself. I created project pages. So I have one for this sock.
That's exciting.
I'm done sharing.
I do believe it was also sparked by me saying that you could find all that information on Ravelry if you made a project page.
Which is hateful, but true.
Yeah. Now, I usually make a project page for everything that I make, but it might take me a minute to get that done. So there's a lot of projects I have to upload as well.
I've become obsessed with it.
It's a really great resource, and I know that there was a lot of accessibility issues with Ravelry lately, and I think they just released another kind of color skin, so Ravelry can go into dark mode.
Oh, okay.
So I wonder if that'll help.
I've even started putting new yarn into my stash.
What?
Yeah.
Who are you?
I don't know. I'll probably get hit by a truck tomorrow.
I at one point had the brilliant idea of to put, that wasn't English. I had a brilliant idea at one time to put all of, there we go, my yarn and stash into Ravelry, and I would just link it. You know how long that would take me?
A year.
Probably. Anyways.
Okay, so works. Oh, do you have another?
I do have another. Well, this is really my only work in progress.
Yeah, go for it.
I am still on my spinning kick, and so I spun out my first braid of the...
I love your staring at it, trying to remember while holding the tag in your other hand.
I know. I don't know why I'm so scatterbrained today. It's the Earth Goddess colorway, and it's the super sock base. So 90% superwash merino, 10% nylon from Wound Up Fiber Arts. If you guys have watched any previous episode, really, you know that I love Trisha's stuff. So this is...
I love those colors.
Isn't that fun?
Mm-hmm. It reminds me of the colors that are in your High Lonesome.
Yes. Yes, actually, exactly like that. So it's got these beautiful... It's not quite picking up the right color, but it's more of like a chartreuse, limey, greenish yellow mixed in there. And I mean, if you pull it apart, you can see there's all sorts of crazy colors, but it's really beautiful.
Oh, I do see some of the green now.
Yep.
Like, what are you talking about? That is not chartreuse.
But it's really fun. I'm spinning this a little bit thicker. Trying to get maybe like a DK 2-ply. So I do have 8 ounces of this. This is the first 4 ounces. And I will start the second half of that soon. And I have just been taking the full long braid and dividing it into sections and then spinning that way. So yeah, and it's just
dividing it into sections, meaning pulling them off in order.
So
I've been splitting the whole thing down the middle.
No. So I know there's a lot of people that like to split the long braid kind of down the middle or into thirds or quarters, whatever. I don't prefer to do that. I don't really know why. I just don't like doing it that way. So what I do is I fold my braid in half and then fold it in half again. So there's 4 sections that I just break off.
Is that spun?
And then I just spin it.
Was that dyed as a gradient, or is it just all different colors and it just looks like a gradient where you have it right there?
It conveniently looks like a gradient, just the way that it's, well, kind of. The way that it's wound on. It's really not.
Okay. That's great.
But I do have to say that the way this is spun, there are 4 sections like that in that braid. So that's kind of why I decided to break it into 4, so that I would have more even color distribution.
Mm-hmm.
But I even love like
those colors are beautiful.
The little barber pulled sections.
Mm-hmm. It's great to see those even in the single.
Mm-hmm.
I like seeing that.
And this one is nice because it has a lot of color variation. So sometimes when I spin a braid, like the way that I told you about how I break it into 4 sections, it mutes the colors too much. So you really don't get that kind of fun barber pulling or that different pop of color. Mm-hmm. It just kind of tones it down a little. Like this skein. In the braid, there was a ton of different color. But now it's really kind of toned down to a muted gray purple. But this will not happen with this braid. So that's fun. This is also...
Yeah, those are beautiful colors. Do you have a project in mind for it?
No. Mm-mm. I have just been enjoying spinning to spin.
That's fair.
Sometimes I have a project in mind, but not usually. I usually like to spin and then find a project. So again, that is Wound Up Fiber Arts in her Super Sock Base on the Earth Goddess colorway.
I love that.
All right, what else?
Is that it for you?
That is all that I have. I am still working on my Tamarack cardigan, which is the kind of dark gray, black, I believe the color is Obsidian in Quarry. This color. I am still working on that cardigan. I just don't have a ton of progress to show. That looks very different from where it was last time. But I am going to be starting the sleeves next. So.
Oh, are you already done with the body?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's bottom up?
Yes.
So you're...
Yeah, I'm to the underarm. So now I'll knit the sleeves, and then I'll join the sleeves to the body, knit it up, and then I have to do the button band. And I think I am going to do the patch pockets. Because pockets on a big chunky cardigan like that are pretty fun. But we'll see. What else are you working on?
I sigh. This is a good story. Buckle in. I am working on my Wixom sweater by Knitterella, Jill Zielinski, who, by the way, deserves some sort of medal of honor.
Sainthood,
a bottle of wine for even entertaining me, let alone putting up with me. We'll just say that. So this is the sweater that I'm knitting. It is amazing. I love that the second you said out loud that I don't knit color work, gauntlet.
That was like a
gauntlet dropped.
Yeah,
it's just all I'm going to do now. I have so many
the gentleman's glove
whoosh, across the face. So I am working on my Wixom sweater, and hold on, I'm going to rearrange things here and try and get it out. I am knitting this out of a lot of yarn. Let's see. Hold on. I got to dig it out of the bag.
It's like a Mary Poppins bag.
Yeah. Who knows what's going to come out of here next? So the two main yarns are Wool and Feather Farm Shetland. Mm-hmm. And this is what they would call a Shetland gray or natural gray.
I think it's a light gray.
Light gray. So I'll hold it up close. It's kind of a silvery cream. It looks a little truer if I hold it back a little bit. You lose some of the gray, but it's kind of a whitish cream color that has little flecks of silver fibers in it, which is really great. So it's not a bright white, but it's definitely not a cream. Mm-hmm. And then I'm using as my contrasting color what they would call a natural Shetland black, which is not really black. It's
so against this color, you can see that this is more silver.
Yeah. And this is kind of a heathery brown color, so you can see all of the lighter colored fibers that pick up in there. That looks pretty true to color. Mm-hmm. I think it's kind of a dusty brown, and then, you know, a creamy white. Mm-hmm. So I am holding them together, Mary Poppins Continue, with Murray & Co. Wool Goods silk mohair in the color Frost. Mm-hmm. So this is, I think it's just an undyed. I said the color Frost, but that's what it's called. But I think it's an undyed mohair silk that's pretty bright white and has a nice shine to it. And then I am holding, with the darker color, a skein of Bearded Purl yarn in the colorway I'm going to try not to kill you while you keep asking me for a different brown.
Pretty much. I think what is that, the fourth or fifth attempt at a color that you wanted?
Yeah, to be fair, it was frustrating you more than it was frustrating me.
It was, because this is technically, so it's Shetland black.
Which is not black.
But it's kind of brown.
It's very much brown.
And also gray. And to try and get a natural color like this,
and
to come through in a,
to be fair,
synthetically dyed yarn.
What I asked for was a color that would match. So they don't look quite the same
For some reason, it looks purplish, but it's a warm brown. It's like a warm brown.
Yes. What I didn't want to do was totally lose all of the character of the undyed Shetland.
Right.
So I didn't want a color so dark that you would lose all of that. But they pair together really beautifully. And I'll show you hiding in here. So this is actually both of them wound up together, which I'll tell you why in a minute. So you can see how it changes the color a little bit. You can see this one's lighter, this one's darker, and it's just a really nice blend, but you definitely don't lose the character of the yarn at all. So I am thrilled with how they turned out.
I am too, because I wasn't going to dye it again.
No, and all the colors you made were beautiful, but one of them looked really black. One was like a really bright, warm brown that was more of a chocolatey, like a milk chocolate color.
It was just really hard to get
this tricky.
Mix to come. Well, and in different lights, it's different shades of brown.
Right.
Or black.
Kind of like the color of the wall in the kitchen. When I go to the store and they're like, oh, that's a really cool gray. And then they hold up a gray next to it that's cool. And they're like, nope.
There's like 50 different paint swatches.
That's a warm gray. So now I'm going to tell you a little story. This is the yarn I'm using. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, friends,
family,
we're in a safe space. It's going to be real talk. I am a huge advocate of swatching, especially for a sweater. I mean, maybe only for a sweater.
Probably only for a sweater.
I don't swatch for socks or hats, and sometimes they don't fit, but that's my fault. I swatched for my sweater. I swatched in the round and then cut my swatch. So I'm going to show you a couple of things that I did because I'm really proud of myself.
What was this stuff?
And this is where the journey of me torturing Jill begins. Hi, Jill. I love you. I mean, like she's watching, but if she is, hi, thank you for being patient and not
I appreciate you for putting up with this as much as I had to.
strangling me. So I cast on the, I am not a really loose knitter, but I'm definitely a loose knitter. So it's not uncommon for me to need to go down a needle size. Mm-hmm. So this pattern calls for 20 stitches per 4 inches on a US 8, which is what, a 4.5, somewhere in there.
Sure.
So I swatched on a 7 because I knew there was no way I would need an 8. Just looking at the gauge, there's no way that I would. So I started on a 7, and halfway through, I don't know how well it'll come across, but right about here,
from here down,
I added in the mohair.
You can almost see it a little bit better when you hold it back here.
Yeah, you top half Shetland only, bottom half I added in the mohair.
Mohair down here.
Sorry, I'm having a total attack. We're back. I wanted to see what the yarn would look like. Again, I was hoping that the mohair wouldn't change the character of the yarn too much. I didn't want to lose that. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to feel the difference. The mohair added so much softness. It's really incredible.
It's very subtle though.
Yeah. And the Shetland is fairly fuzzy anyway. So you can see it was just a really nice way to contrast in the same swatch. Mm-hmm. However, what it did do, I don't know if you can tell. I think you can actually pretty well here. It fully added an extra stitch per 4 inches to my swatch. So you can see it's bigger at the top than it is at the bottom. So no surprise. I was a little surprised how much it changed my gauge. And 1 stitch over 4 inches might not sound like a lot, but it is. Like that would add inches to a sweater. Mm-hmm. Inches. So then I reswatched, and I had the brilliant idea to swatch 2 size needles on the same swatch, which many of you are probably doing. Someone will probably tell me it's a terrible idea, but I started on a 6 and then went down to a 5. And it turns out that that's what I needed to get gauge with the mohair and the Shetland held together. So I was fairly close. I think I would have been fine on a 6 without the mohair, mm-hmm. but I definitely needed to go down to get gauge. So I did a lot of swatching for this. Then the torture of Jill starts. So I was looking at the stitch counts, thinking like this, it just doesn't seem right. And I sent her a message. She was so kind and so patient while I was asking a lot of really dumb questions. And I was basing my stitch count questions on my Ruska sweater, which is another top-down yoked colorwork sweater that I knit on a 7. So even though the needle size was really not comparable between a 5 and a 7, the stitch counts were throwing me off a little bit because I was just thinking like, it's going to be really big. So Jill was so kind. She sent me some very helpful messages, and I cast on and I knit. And true to form, I knit. There were some red flags, but I kept knitting, and I knit through the sleeve separation. Mm-hmm. You know, a yoke sweater.
You were probably down to like here.
I was at least 2 inches past the sleeve separation.
Right.
Because, I mean, I had the body. But if you've knit a yoked sweater before, they are circular in shape, and they don't really work until you separate for the sleeves and have a couple of inches to like actually see how it fits, because you're taking a circle and folding it in half and then trying to like make it fit on your body. Mm-hmm. So Anyway, long story short, yours truly got 2 inches past the sleeve separation, realized that the chest size I was knitting had a yoke that was much wider than I was. And
it looked like an Elizabethan collar.
I wish I had a picture. We should have taken one.
You put it on and it just flared out. Like almost like you were some sort of like lizard.
Before I put the sleeves,
Yeah.
before I separated for this, I literally put it on and I looked like I was wearing an e-collar. Like I was a dog who'd just been neutered and...
The cone of shame.
So many problems, which I wanted to blame on Jill. And I was like, this pattern is ridiculous.
No, it was all you.
Yeah, like 99.99%. Rounded up to 100% me. Turns out it was all me. So you know that I love to rip a sweater out like nobody's business. That's my favorite game. So I ripped it out on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
I got real mad. No, I didn't get mad at all, actually. I got mad that I was right. And that my knitting was terrible.
Right.
Yeah.
Because we measured, and the math is correct. Like the pattern is the pattern is not wrong.
No, the pattern is great.
And even your knitting with the pattern is not wrong. You were wrong, though.
I had a lot of problems. So I will say, again, we're in our safe space here, friends. This is my 6th sweater. So I'm not brand new, but this is only my 2nd yoked sweater and only my 2nd colorwork sweater. So I've done a paneled sweater. I've done bottom-up cables cardigan, bottom-up cable cardigan. I've done top-down raglan. I've done a top-down cardigan in one piece, and now 2 top-down yoke colorwork sweaters. So I'm still learning. I'm telling you these stories because these are the lessons I'm learning along the way. So number 1, swatch. Like for real. Swatch it, block it, believe it. Check the math if you want. Measure yourself.
Have someone else measure you.
Have someone else measure you. So
measure parts of you that you don't think you need to measure.
The other lesson I learned now is don't just measure your chest as the sizes are written. Also, look at the stitch count at the widest point of your yoke and measure yourself around your shoulders. So what I'm doing now, I am knitting the yoke from the 38.5, which is a size smaller than the body of the sweater I need. So I'm going to combine a smaller yoke. What happened, the yoke combined with my tragic knitting was going to have like 14 inches of positive ease, like up in the top of the chest. It was ridiculous. I could, like it actually kind of looked like this when I put it on.
Right, but then it fit from like here down.
Yeah, like I just had a big poof. You know, like some 1980s shoulder pad collar or shoulders. Yeah, it was bad news. So I'm knitting the 38.5 yoke, and I will increase extra stitches under the arms to make up the body length. But I've ripped back. I ripped all the way back to the short row shaping on the collar in the first increase round. So I'm Frankensteining it a little bit because I did not. I'm super lazy, and the stitch counts were really close. I did not want to reknit the twisted ribbed collar. So here we'll fold it in half. This is where I'm at. I ripped it out back to the collar on Friday.
Almost where you were before.
Yeah, and in 2 days, I'm almost back to where I was when I should have ripped it out, but didn't. And I'm so pleased. So I fixed almost all of my tension issues. Everything looks great. So I learned 2 other lessons that I'll share really quickly. I know I've been talking about this sweater for a long time, but if you're new to sweaters, and I still consider myself fairly new to sweaters, don't be afraid of them, but you're going to learn lessons along the way.
Right.
And I'm also obsessed with the way a hand knit sweater fits. If I don't like the way it fits, I know I'm not going to wear it. And if I'm not going to wear it, why knit it? Mm-hmm. So I'm willing to very happily rip it out to get the fit right. And I'm so thrilled. So swatch, measure. The third lesson I learned, I'm a big fan of magic loop, and I don't knit a lot traditionally in the round. So
it's so soft.
When I'm knitting a sweater, I do eventually, when I get on a big enough cable, I knit in the round. But until then, I do a combination of magic loop. That caused me all kinds of tension problems, especially while the yoke was still increasing. Now, once it's at its full stitch count and I have a cable that's pretty reasonable and I get in the round, it's not bad. But I don't know what my problem was. I had created so many puckers. Let me show you my previous sweater.
It was a little wrinkly.
Oh, it's right here. Look how terrible that is. Now, some of it's because it's round, but look at all that puckering. When I promise you, it was even worse. What you don't see
is this section over here is like 5 inches tall.
At least 3, like tented up.
Yeah.
I mean, it literally looked like this. And I was thinking, oh, it's going to be fine when I put it on.
It'll block out. No.
This is what it looked like on me.
Not everything can be fixed by blocking.
It looked like that when it was on my body, and that was not good. So this time, I started with like a 10-inch cable, which would have been close to 20 inches, because I didn't have a 16 in the round. But I changed cables every time there was an increase. I knit in the round the whole time. I was really conscientious about my tension. And again, I wanted to blame Jill for everything, even though she's a lovely human being.
And all of it was your
And it was
fault.
It was literally all me. So the tension issues or the weird puckering that I wanted to blame on like unreasonable increases in the pattern, turns out was 100% me. And essentially I'm following the pattern as directed now. Really the only change I made is I'm technically using the stitch count for the 42.4 for the collar because I didn't want to rip it out, but it was only 4 stitches different than the smaller size. So I just adjusted the first increase round to have the right number. But I'm actually really pleased with my tension. My floats look really nice on the back and it's knitting like a dream. And I'm using my stitch marker, my Sasquatch from Noel of Charmed and Dangerous. I've named him Gaston Mohair, but his name is spelled Caston, but it's pronounced Gaston.
Like from Beauty and the Beast.
Mm-hmm.
Gaston.
But Caston.
Right.
It's Gaston Mohair, but spelled with a C.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe hyphenated. Unknown. He has a very unique identity. So I am thrilled with how this is working up. I'm sorry that this was a 15-minute story about how I'm an idiot and learning to knit sweaters. But I'm learning so many valuable lessons. And in the moment, it is a little bit discouraging to think, wow, I just threw away hours and hours worth of knitting. But I really do mean it. In the moment, it's painful to like have the instant where you have to accept defeat and rip something out. But at the same time, I have never, ever, ever regretted doing it. And just like my Ruska, I mean, same thing. Now I was knitting something that was much too large because, again, I'm just crazy. But I'm learning lessons along the way, which I'm finding so valuable. And I'll think about the next sweater differently. So I'm going to have some modifications to do to make sure that the body actually fits around me. And I'm not entirely sure yet how I'm going to do that. But I'll do it through a combination of separating sleeves and casting on under the arm. And it should be fine because I'll be done with the color work at that point, so I won't have to worry about the pattern. But the pattern is actually really well written. The increases inside the color work are really cool, how they're done picking up the stitch below, and Jill has designed it to where the right color lifts up. So it's actually a really well written pattern, and I'm thrilled. I love my hat, I love the yarn, and I will have it done eventually. It's a long story. Lessons learned.
It looks great though, and the mohair is so fun. This is definitely like dead of winter wear because you have super soft, cozy, like fluffy, warm Shetland and mohair. It almost has like a Lobe
It's real fuzzy.
texture feel to it. Yeah, you can see
She's got a lot of fuzz.
it's got some fuzz.
It will be all over my head. It will be all over my beard.
So I don't know if you saw me digging some out of my coffee cup before.
Yeah, it literally flies off into my lap while I'm working on it. It's so great.
Beautiful.
It's so great though. I'm thrilled. And again, I have no regrets ripping it out. I'm really glad that I decided to do it. It would have been terrible had I continued. Mm-hmm. I think it would have blocked out a little bit, but it would have looked really bad, and then I would have never worn it.
Right.
So I'm thrilled. Also, thank you, Jill. I sent her messages to be like, turns out you were right, I was wrong, and here's what I'm doing. Like she was just sitting around at home waiting for me to message her and tell her how my Wixom was coming. But she's been so nice and patient and kind, and I'm sure she sees my messages and is just like,
This guy again.
What are you doing now? Yeah, but I'm thrilled. I highly recommend the pattern, and I cannot wait to finish it.
All right.
There's a lot of talk about my sweater.
Yeah.
Sorry, friends. That's all our knitting.
That is all of our knitting.
These people are like, thank goodness that that's over.
What have you purchased anything lately?
Oh, yeah.
Let's go into acquisitions right away.
Acquisitions. Let me flip my paper over.
Don't be so loud.
It's okay. I'll cover your ears. I have a couple of acquisitions. Yep. My shopping has been reasonably under control for fiber-related things because I've been living at Home Depot in Sherwin-Williams for the last 3 weeks.
Right.
So I bought a set of stitch markers. I love these. These, also Instagram has my number. I saw some sort of thing, a post. I don't remember what it was. But these are from the Sexy Knitter, and it's actually a bracelet. It's too small to fit around my wrist, but it's a set of 9 stitch markers that are wood and resin. So each one is a different color. They're wood at the clasp end, or it's just a jump ring, and then colored resin at the bottom. I loved the markers. I like the combination of the wood and the color. And it is fun. It's meant to be a little bracelet if you wanted to wear it. I don't think I will wear it as a bracelet. I would get into trouble with something that dangly flying all over the place. They'd be gone by the end of the day. But it's a nice way to kind of keep them organized, and I really enjoyed the purchase. So I bought some stitch markers. And then I do have 2 more.
I don't have any.
You don't have any purchases?
Mm-mm.
Oh. How
Nope.
about that? That seems not plausible.
I mean, I did buy a cookbook.
Yeah.
But that's not. Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, let's be honest. We'll share it.
Will we?
I bought a forage, I'm going to call it a tote because I forgot to look it up. Forage bag, forage tote by Hohi & Co., Hohi Locatelli. And this is the black bag. I've wanted one of her bags for a long time. They used to sell out really quickly, but I feel like her shop has had a lot of product in it lately, which has been great. So I ordered one of these bags. It's a beautiful handmade leather bag. It's responsibly sourced Argentinian leather. There's a lot of great information on Hohi's Instagram and on her website.
It's a great size.
About the artisans that she partners with to make the bags. But it's a great size. It would fit my whole sweater's worth of yarn in it. And this thing shipped like the day I bought it from Argentina and
It didn't
arrived.
even take a week.
It didn't even take a week. I think I bought it on a Friday night or a Saturday, and it was here maybe by the following Saturday. It just shipped. I feel like I got the email on a Sunday and it shipped. So it's a beautiful bag. I think we just smelled it for like the first 3 days.
Right. I mean, leather.
Nice
brand,
leather.
Brand new, nice leather.
Yeah.
It
It's a
smells
beautiful
great.
bag. It's so soft. It's a nice size. So I bought that. And then I do have a skein of yarn that I bought actually a couple of weeks ago. This was a new dyer to me, and I forget who. I'm so sorry that I didn't go back and look. But someone tagged me on Instagram. I was like, look, Justin, rainbow self-striping yarn. And what did I do? I immediately went to their website and bought it. So this is Area 51 Fibers. It's a Canadian dyer, and I'm so embarrassed that I didn't write down the name of the human being behind Area 51 Fibers. But this is called Speckle Me. It's a rainbow, and it's rainbow self-striping yarn, but in between the colors of the rainbow, the base is speckled in the background. So the base, you could pretend kind of look like this within a solid color stripe, speckled base stripe. So I was really excited to get that. It's fun neon colors. Again, this is a new dyer to me, so I've not knit anything from them before. It's in their Sturdy Alien fingering weight sock yarn. It's an 80/20 superwash merino nylon. So I'm really looking forward to knitting with that. It's gonna live in here. I'm gonna somehow have to like cram a little hole for you to live in. But yeah, new yarn for me. Always love self-striping yarns and learning about new dyers. And I have 2 more of them upstairs.
Ooh, I lied. I did buy something that's at this table. But you're currently using it. So Natalie of Remembrance's Pottery, because you all know that I've now jumped on the mug train, dyed up these. It's a giant rainbow, but this is her sock mug.
It's really cute.
And so she did an initial run of these a while back, and then I missed out. And I was able to sneaky purchase one in her last update. And I love it.
It's really cute.
Her mugs are amazing. And they're just beautiful. She does a great job. Ships really fast. Comes really well packaged. And I mean, a knitting themed mug, how could you go wrong with that?
Little rainbow socks hanging on a line.
So cute.
Sold. Thanks for the mug.
Yeah. We're gonna share it.
So that's kind of it for acquisitions.
That is.
Except for the stuff that's upstairs that we didn't bring down.
Right.
I'm not buying more yarn.
You say that.
I know. It's so terrible. We have so much yarn.
You know what? There are worse things in life.
I mean, it's not drugs.
That was a pretty steep justification.
I mean, I don't know what else to say.
That's probably the only thing.
I mean, that's why we're here. Every time I watch someone else's podcast, I'm like, there's a pattern I gotta go buy. There's a skein of yarn I've gotta go buy. It's great.
Yeah. Plus, it's fun to support local makers and,
yes.
and small business owners and
yes.
the amazing craftspeople behind them.
Doing our part to keep the economy going.
Exactly.
Yeah. We want to talk shop news. You've been real busy.
I have been really busy. So I needed another hobby like I needed a hole in the head.
In fact, someone commented on your Instagram post yesterday, like, what did they say? Like, I bet...
Justin sighing because
you have a new hobby. What is happening?
You're falling apart.
Thanks.
Which is true. I don't need any more hobbies, but...
What you need is a warehouse.
At least a studio.
Yeah.
So we had an update this last Saturday.
Yesterday.
And, yes. Yesterday. And I'm not sure where I'm going to go with this, but so part of it was some things that I was super excited about, and then part of it was the new hobby. But
let's start with
the
things you were excited about that had been sitting in our house for a couple of months, and we've been dying to.
Right. So a while back, I purchased some Harris tweed Shetland fabric from Scotland, and I'll have to include a link to the Harris Tweed Authority's website because it's a phenomenal story. It employs people all over the island. I was going to say islands, but it's actually one island, the island of Lewis and Harris, which is named 2 different names because it's separated by a mountain range. But anyways, so all of the fabric that comes from Harris Tweed is hand woven by independent makers that have learned over the centuries how to weave. And it's just a beautiful story. So the sheep are raised in Scotland, it's milled in Scotland, it's dyed in the...
You're doing a lot of rubbing right next to the microphone.
Oh, sorry. This is Harris Tweed fabric, long story short, and there's a beautiful story behind it, and it's really special. And so I wanted to make bags that highlighted the Harris Tweed, I guess, kind of story, the mission, and that were wool. So you know how we like to kind of mix up different textures and fabrics in the bags that we make. And so I thought, what a fun idea it would be to take some of the Harris Tweed fabrics and be able to show them off in different bags. So this is just a few of the ones that we had. We'll have plenty more to come in the next couple of shop updates. I love them. I love the story. Like I said, the stories, the fabrics are just stunning. And plus, who doesn't love a craft bag made out of wool? So
sheep everywhere.
So one really neat thing is that when you purchase Harris Tweed fabric, you can actually get labels of authenticity. because it goes through a really rigorous inspection process, and it's really important that that's included and kind of noted in the different products that the fabric's used for. So I was able to get the authenticity tags that are sewn into each of the bags.
I'll just say,
and you cannot purchase the tags separately because that's against the
right.
authorities' rules and regulations. So you have to buy genuine Harris tweed fabrics in order to get the tags, and you cannot purchase either. I mean, you can purchase the fabric without the tags, but you cannot get tags separately, and you have to. There's certain length and meterage requirements that you can only get so many per meter, and it's really rigorous, but it's very well protected for a good reason. Mm-hmm. So anyways, long story short, we made these beautiful tweed bags.
I have to say really quickly, the fabrics are stunning. Like, they're everything you want them to be. Like, mm-hmm. they're wool, tweed,
very
slightly
rustic.
Felted, rustic, beautiful fabrics. And we've been dying having them in our house for a couple of months now. And it's taking everything we have to not order like all 250 prints.
Right.
Or weaves, I guess they would be.
Patterns. Right. So, I mean, the fabric is beautiful. And we have, I think, 12 different patterns left. Yeah. So, have no fear. There will be plenty of different Harris tweed bags to come in the next couple of shop updates.
I mean, we say plenty. There will be more. But apparently you like them as much as we do, because I think they all sold out like in 4 minutes.
In 4 minutes.
Now, we only had 23.
There was like, I think 27.
28.
So not a lot. But we will continue to have them
minutes.
Until you guys don't want them. And when you don't want them, I'll keep them. But what's really fun about these
It was so hard not to keep one of every single fabric.
The zipper pulls and the handles have a raw edge. So let me... And that just kind of adds to the... It's not going to... So it might fray a little bit. I have kind of pre-frayed a little bit of it. But it's not going to come apart. It's not going to fall apart. Even if any of the other loose fibers come out, it is sewn and stitched. So it's going to be totally safe and secure. But just adds kind of that rustic...
I love each one of these.
And they have the unbleached cotton drill on the inside. But I love these, and they're all different and all unique. So even though they are, they might be from the same print, or I should say pattern of weave, the bag isn't going to be necessarily the same. So I was...
This one happens to look exactly the same on the...
As I say that, ironically, this one is the same on the front and the back, but like this one's
different. A little bit different. So you can see, I don't know how to do that. Hold it this way. Like the patterns aren't exactly the same.
Right.
They come in very specific pieces of fabric. You can't just get unlimited yardage. So you had to do a little bit.
You could, technically, but it's tricky to do because it is coming all the way from Scotland, and there are some certain import restrictions that...
It's not like going to a quilt shop and just saying, like, give me 6 yards of that.
Right. But it's a beautiful thing, and I'm excited about them. I am really happy with how they turned out and how they kind of coordinate with the different tweeds.
We had a lot of fun.
And the canvas bottoms. But yeah, so that's been super exciting, and really happy to have those in the shop. There will be different patterns in the next couple of updates, and like I said, as long as you guys want them, we'll happily make them. These are the shawl size. I probably won't make any in the sock size because it's a little too labor intensive and doesn't show off enough of the tweed to kind of make it shine.
It's also a little bit wasteful and cost prohibitive.
It is. Because
of the limited width options for the fabric.
Right.
So we're trying to maximize the wool and not have a ton of waste, which then drives the cost of the bag up a lot.
Right. And given everything now, they are a little bit pricier than the normal shawl bags, but I have gotten them as cheap as I can.
And you literally, I think, have like less than 2 inches of waist.
Yes. So
you did a lot of fancy math.
I sat with a ruler and a grid on graph paper for an entire afternoon trying to see how I can maximize the singular cut of fabric, just because it is so precious. It's really, it doesn't do it justice to waste any.
Yeah,
So
they're beautiful.
Those
I
are the
love
bags.
them. But that's not all you've been up to.
That's not all I've been up to. So something I've been wanting to do for a really long time and finally decided to bite the bullet is actually dye yarn. And I have learned and kind of taken in a lot of amazing tips and tricks from some of our wonderful friends. Sarah of Marie & Co. Wool Goods and Michelle from Woolens and Nosh have really kind of helped guide me along the way to this process. And so I'm really proud of the first batch of yarns that sold in this last update on Saturday. And I'm going to try and keep pretty regular stock. I mean, a lot of it sold out, and I thank you to all of you who have purchased the yarn. It is completely, entirely nerve-wracking to try and dive into something new and to really like pour your heart and soul and creativity into something and not know how well it's going to be received. And for it to be received pretty well is, there's just so much love and appreciation that I have for everyone that purchased something. It's incredible, and it feels really good. So the inspiration and the theme for the first kind of shop update that I had, which was fairly small and kind of simple, I didn't really want to get too far out of my limited comfort zone with dyeing yarn since I'm still pretty new. But I've been working on this for about a month and a half now. And so the inspiration for the first bit was, I guess, garden themed. You know, spring is around the corner and we love to garden. And so I thought kind of an English cottage garden theme for the colors. And so I have a ton of different colorways, but I just wanted to show you a few that were in this last update and just kind of walk through some of my ideas and colors and processes. So and I had just 2 different types of bases in the shop, and I'm going to be carrying much more unique bases in the future, but I still want to have the basic staples that everyone loves and knows and is used to and kind of expects from different yarn dyers. So this is a superwash merino nylon. It's an 80/20 400 yard skein per 100 grams, and I love it. I love the base. It's a really fun kind of plump 2-ply. But so this color is gilded, and it's a really neat kind of brassy antique gold.
A little bit tonal.
The yarns are a little bit tonal on purpose. I didn't want them completely solid. I wanted them to have a little bit of tonality, some variegation. There's a couple of speckles and flecks here and there, just because I think that's unique to hand-dyed yarn. And if you wanted a solid yarn with, you know, no variations in it, you could probably buy it commercially. So there's that. But I also had fun designing the label. So there's another thing that I'm pretty proud of. It took me a minute, but I was able to work through it myself, and pretty fun. But so then this color is salvia, and this color is terracotta.
This particular one you've been obsessed with.
I was really excited. It did not. So in my mind, this is where I wanted it to end up, but it took me a couple of tries to get it here, because mixing orange into anything can be a little dangerous. And so this actually starts with an orange base and ended up kind of it did end up a terracotta color. So I'm really happy with it. And
Which you were able to repeat
I was
several times.
Yes.
So that's nice too. I like the tonality of this one. It's really subtle, but I think it gives it depth.
Mm-hmm.
You lose something, you know, like this yarn, the main color in your sweater. Sometimes too much variegation or too much variation becomes variegated.
Right.
But I always appreciate a little bit of tonality, because then it's, like you said, not just solid, which is great in certain applications. Sometimes that's really nice.
Right. And so one thing that I made sure to do as well is I wanted to make colors that I could easily repeat. So I sat and played with it, and as soon as I dyed one batch of something, I made sure to work at it and have the recipe ready to go. And I wasn't comfortable labeling or putting something out there that I couldn't repeat. So all these colors are totally repeatable. This one is a nice kind of beautiful parchment linen color, and this is the same color on my mohair lace base, which is 72% kid mohair, 28% silk, and that's 459 yards per 50 grams. And this is the twisty sock base, so that's the 2-ply 80% merino, 20% nylon, but same color, different bases, and this is garden gloves. So it's kind of a fun one. And you can see it's a little bit tonal as well.
This color you were also obsessed with.
Yeah, I was really happy. I for some reason this spring, I've really kind of fallen in love with neutrals. And normally I do the pastels and the bright colors, and I'm just feeling the neutrals right now and was really happy with how this turned out.
It's been fun to see you so excited about doing something. Yeah. It's also terrifying how much yarn is in this house relative to how much yarn used to be in this house.
Right. Because of this.
But you've really enjoyed doing it, and it's been on your list for years.
It has. And I finally decided to just, you know what? No time like the present. Let's just dive into another hobby. Not that I needed it. But I really have kind of poured my heart and soul into this the last 7-8 weeks. And I'm just happy that everyone seems really excited. So thank you, everybody. So again, that's the garden gloves color. And to kind of show you another color that I am totally obsessed with on different bases.
Go figure.
Oh, that's ironic. This colorway is moss, and this is on the twisty sock and the mohair base. And then I also dyed up some on a DK base. So this is the same color, different bases. And you can see they're all kind of slightly tonal.
I love learning and seeing how different fiber content takes the exact same dye totally differently.
Right.
Like you would think, oh, merino is merino, but
nope.
The sock base has nylon in it.
Mm-hmm.
Nylon is not an animal fiber.
Right.
Takes up color totally differently.
This is a 100% superwash merino, and this is the mohair silk. So it's all the exact same formulation on different bases.
And then the silk and mohair give such a rich, shiny, deep color.
And this was a learning process, let me tell you, because the mohair silk it's not friendly to dye, and it doesn't behave well. It's super sensitive to any sort of temperature changes. And even on a great day, it doesn't necessarily want to take up all the dye. But to get the saturation levels at the same rate takes some finagling. And let's just say I have a bin of yarn that was totally like random batches or like mishaps. But yeah, so I'm really excited with that.
Mishaps that will work out in our favor.
They will be just fine, and we'll use them. But they were learning opportunities. So
I think the sun just came out. What's happening?
I don't know.
It's been great.
But yeah, I'm really excited to showcase some of this yarn. And like I said, I want to start carrying some different unique bases. So I've actually been partnering with a few local sheep farmers, ranchers, breeders. Some of them in our county to have some custom milled yarn. So that will probably be happening in the next, maybe 6 to 7 months, because the sheep have just been shorn and it has to go to the mill, be processed, come back, and then I have to dye it. And I will leave quite a bit of it natural in its natural state because it can highlight its beauty and characteristics. But so I really want to highlight some of the smaller sheep farms in Wisconsin and the different local sheep industry that I feel has kind of been overtaken by some different happenings in the industry. So to really kind of bring back that small farm, the local, the different unique characteristics of the breeds and the yarn, and to introduce things that are different from merino. You know, we all know and love the softness and characteristics of merino, but there are so many other sheep out there that we can highlight those different breeds and the characteristics of that wool. So I want to do that as well and kind of keep it as local and as traceable as possible. And all of the yarns that I use are responsibly sourced, and I use as responsibly dyed techniques as possible, or at least that I've been able to achieve. And I'm happy with it, so I'm really excited. And I really appreciate all of you for showing the love and kindness in my new adventure. So, thank you.
It's exciting.
It is exciting. All that to say, I will have more soon. I am fresh out of all the stuff that I've dyed. I was hoping that, quite honestly, some of it would not sell, so I could use it. But that just means that it will go to more loving homes, and I can dye some more and knit with it. I am for sure going to make a shawl out of this moss color, and I might make a birds of a feather with the mohair. But
you got a lot of shawl recommendations.
I did.
Comments.
So thank you for all of you who have
video.
recommended shawls. I have quite the pattern lineup, which is exciting.
A lot going on.
Mm-hmm.
So more bags coming.
More bags.
More yarn coming.
More yarn. More fun.
We've got a lot of orders to pack up.
More shenanigans.
Today.
Yes.
Tomorrow. Yeah, we'll get them out shortly. Thank you. What else is coming up?
That's all I have.
We have some videos.
Ooh, yes.
You're going to do some weaving videos. We've had a lot of requests for those. And we've been buried in a couple of home projects, and the warping of the loom in particular is not
which will be a video, but it takes a bit.
And it's kind of you have to start it and finish it type of project for us without a warping mill.
Well, and with the space that we have, it makes sense to start it and finish it at one time.
And cats.
And cats. Yeah, they're the real... Which, surprisingly, we haven't had a guest appearance today.
That's right. Where are they?
No,
one is sound asleep in his bed and has been all day, and I think Daffodil is currently toasting herself to a medium well on your electric blanket.
So for Christmas this last year, my parents got me an electric blanket because I'm always cold. And as soon as she hears that click of the button when it turns on, she's all over it. And so we share it, but I have it set on the couch or folded on the bench by the couch, and sometimes I'll just catch her laying on it and I'll just go over and click it on, and
then she doesn't move for 14 hours.
Right. I mean, I wouldn't either, but
yeah. So weaving videos hopefully in the next few weeks, right?
Yes.
And then we've recorded a video of the anatomical sock toe that I think you're going to get posted in the next few days. And we've got a couple of other heel videos that people have asked for. So more things coming soon, and shop updates as work schedules allow.
I'm going to try and have more frequent updates, because I know sometimes the once a month larger updates can be a little hectic, kind of like Hunger Games style. So
we just need an extra 80 hours a week.
I need an extra 80 hands to go with the extra 80 hours a week. But that's part of being a small business, and it's really appreciated. And just hang tight. We'll get you stuff eventually. And we appreciate all the support and love that you guys share with us each and every episode, and with every adventure that we go on. So with that, we want to wish you a wonderful week, and we thank you for joining us this time. And
if you're in the northern hemisphere, you're warming up. If you're in the southern
Yes.
hemisphere, it sounds like you're cooling down. So we hope you enjoy all the great things that you shared with us in the comments you're looking forward to. We're excited to hear so many people have been able to get their COVID vaccines and start to spend some time with some family and friends that they've not been able to see. So we are really looking forward to the weather warming up. We have a couple thousand bulbs that are starting to poke out of the ground. So we're ready to see some flowers and get out in the garden more. But happy crafting, happy
Happy
gardening, happy life. And thank you for all your support. And we'll see you in a few weeks.
Bye.
Bye everybody.